of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, recorded Wednesday, August the 7th, 2019. My name's Eric, the host of the show. I'm based in Southern Ontario. I'm a hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, VE3, EPN, and a computer geek. I got into preparedness when I was working frontline in emergency services and witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events such as ice storms, power outages, etc. I started a small preparedness company to help people get prepared and be able to look after themselves for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
My name is Ian, and I live on a small hobby farm, and not in the GTA for certain people. I'm an outdoor enthusiast, sport shooter, reloader, field officer for the CCFR, and my farm's designated handyman.
Awesome. If you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy a Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt at rapidsurvival.com. All the proceeds help go to keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
Well, if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Canadian Prepper Podcast and submit a review on iTunes. We don't have enough of those for our liking, and no 4 stars. Also, we want your feedback. Also, we want your feedback, good or bad. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to cover, or if you dislike something we're doing, please let us know. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right. So we've got some low-effort content for you in this episode. First, we're going to start off with some news articles relating to preparedness and the outdoors. Next, we're going to be letting you know how we've improved our preparedness since our last episode. Then we're going to get into the main topic for this episode, being tips for the lazy prepper. So we'll start off with some news articles you've got there, Ian.
Okay, so my first news article, flash flooding in the New York area. Interesting enough, I'm currently in New York, and I got a text message on my phone. Watched everybody around me get it at the same time. I guess it's the local emergency management area, and it just said flash flooding expected in these areas, and you're in the area. And it was very interesting to see. I had to actually look up the news article today and put it in here, but it's the first time I think I'd gotten a legit cell phone message saying, heads up. So it was actually neat to see the system at work because everybody at the same time stopped what they're doing, looked down at their phone. And of course, everybody's got a phone in their hand nowadays. And it was just interesting to see how technology can really help, not so much with preparedness, but at least reaction to certain events, right?
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't have a phone these days and who isn't always staring at it constantly?
Yeah, and it was unmistakable tone because I had my ringer off, and it still went off with a loud sound. So that was good to see in action.
And it caught your attention, so that's good.
It certainly did. It was funny because the whole area we were in, there's all like a unison sound, and it was like the old area siren. So just everybody stopped. It was like, oh, geez, what's that?
What's going on?
That was pretty cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so very effective. Second news article I had, it's a little bit dated, but a ship blows its top in Vancouver harbour. So it kind of reminded me of the old Halifax explosion back in World War I, where it kind of leveled the town. But this one, they won't say what caused it, but they had a cargo ship right in the middle of downtown Vancouver Harbor. The top blew off of it, and they said, well, the water didn't get poisoned. There was no explosion. Everything's fine now. But they got some pretty good pictures off of it. So it's... Yeah, so I'm sure there's more to that story, but it was very interesting to see that, just in the middle of a very busy, concentrated urban area, anything could go wrong, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the water's fine?
Yeah, that's what I kind of laughed about. It's like, well, if something blew its top, obviously little bits of it went into the water, so I'm sure the water's not fine. But hey.
Nothing to see here. Carry on.
Nothing to see here, folks. Carry on.
All right, so I got a couple of articles here. First one is from a United States article, but it applies here in Canada as well. It's in regards to parents being encouraged to include back-to-school emergency preparedness plan, because I'm sure all the parents that are listening to the podcast are doing a little happy dance because the Munchkins will go back to school soon. And it just encourages parents to get some kind of an emergency plan together, teach kids where the cell phones are, how to use them, text first, talk later, short, simple text messages, stuff that they already know how to do. But at least you can check in with them and make sure maybe you got a couple of code words or something you can send. But it's a good article. It's something to kind of think about if you got a little munchkin going back to school. Maybe put some kind of a plan together with them in case something does hit the fan while they're at school and you're away. You have a plan set up and you know what each person is going to do.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things we did cover off with our kids when we sent them back to public school. We had homeschooled them for 3 years, but sent them back to public. And yeah, we had covered off various contingencies to make sure they had a backup plan. There's a friend's house they could go to halfway between our house and the school, and kind of made sure that they had the whole plan in their mind before they went back, just as a especially in an earthquake zone. That makes sense, right? Because bridges being out and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just keeping an eye on the comments here. Apparently, there's an echo, so we're gonna try and get that sorted out. We are on a new system for this episode, so we're working out some bugs. We'll see if we can sort it out as we go through the show here. But, so it's me that's echoing. So we'll see if we can figure it out as we go here. We've got another article here. Alan had touched on this an episode or two ago in regards to the bodies believed to be the teen murder suspects found in Manitoba. So that manhunt that's been going on the last little while now. It looks like they found those two kids that were suspected of the murders out in BC. It appears that they found them deceased. So just an update on an article from previous episode there. And just a reminder to always keep your head on a swivel because you never know.
Well, it's very interesting because for the longest time, everybody was thinking they were like the most genius survivalists ever. The fact that we could find them, but I guess they didn't get that far.
Sounds like not. From the sounds of it, it's in around that the area where the burnt out car was found is what they were saying earlier today. That's not confirmed. Not 100% sure, but that's what they're reporting earlier today on the news, that it was about 8 or so kilometers from the burned out car. But I'm sure we'll get more details later on down the road, or it'll be another nothing to see here and carry on.
Got another comment too. Says it sounds good to him, so it depends. Maybe it depends on how people are listening, whether it's via StreamYard or YouTube too.
Yeah, it could be. I think most are watching via YouTube, but like I said, we've got some growing pains to work through here, so we'll sort them out as we go. That's the fun part of switching to a new platform.
Well, thanks a lot, Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I had to leave, you jerks. Had to cut us off. We were getting too good. They had to cut us off.
Yeah,
but we appreciate StreamYard picking us up.
I do like the new platform. It seems to have a lot of features, so it should be hopefully once it gets all sorted out, it should be awesome stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So far so good. So let's move into what we've done lately for our preps. And before we get that started, we've got a sponsor now for this section. So what we've done lately for our preps is brought to us by Get Out, Stay Out Canada. They are the creators of the Get Out, Stay Out Campfire Grill. And they can be found at getoutstayout.ca. So they've got two versions of their campfire grill. They've got a large one and a more compact version. So check them out at getoutstayout.ca and help support them because they are helping us keep the lights on with the podcast.
Those are the metal kind of fold up grills that go over the fire and stuff, and you can put the pots on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've got two of them. They fold out. There's two levels. They're actually sending us a demo to check out, and then in a couple episodes, we're actually going to be giving one away. So stay tuned for that. But once I get one in hand here, I'm going to do a full review on them and make sure everybody knows what they're all about, and then we're giving one away.
Oh, it sounds like we're getting all grown up here.
Yeah, I know. It's
I didn't come on here to be mature. I came on here to talk about LARPing stuff, like zombie apocalypses and stuff.
Yeah, and tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We've got a sponsor now, and couldn't be happier because, like I said, they're helping keep the lights on. And this month of the hosting for the podcast is all covered now, thanks to them. So much appreciated.
We'll put on a serious face then. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. All right. Well, for myself, as far as what I did for preparedness this week, I basically spent my few days at home setting up a show barn for the upcoming Coombs Fair in my local area. It's on Vancouver Island, not the GTA. We'll talk about that later. It's now the annual livestock and good old time farm fair. So not so much as prepping as maintaining the family unit, which is, I guess, preparedness in a kind of way, to avoid that inevitable divorce if you don't pay attention to them. Good news is if the chickens that we're sending there win, they get a higher price at auction, and you can also sell the hatching eggs for more money, which always works out too. And of course, one of the things I had to do to prepare for the show was groom my big black chicken, which was a star on a previous podcast. I guess on the other podcast, wasn't it?
I had a banner for that.
Oh yeah. So okay, well, so they might have referred to it as the big black cock on that show, but it got a little bit nasty after a while. So anyway, filled the woodshed with some more wood for winter. Did a meet up with listener Sean, and he was the inspiration for the IFAC episode, and that's about it for me.
Awesome. Well, speaking of IFACs, I made a purchase from Ragnarok Tactical after the IFAC episode there. Um, Sent Andrew a quick email. He kitted me out with everything that I'm going to need. So much appreciated from him. I've got a couple of emails from listeners as well that said they've contacted him to get a kit set up and put together. So I'm happy with that. So I'm all squared away now with my IFAC. Just waiting for it to show up. So it should be here shortly. I also learned how to fix a home appliance. It wasn't working quite right. The dehumidifier downstairs is making some awesome clanking and clicking and weird noises. And rather than do the 2019 thing of, throw it out and I'll just get a new one, I tore it apart, found out what was clicking and clacking, and fixed it up, put it back together. And, the house hasn't burnt down yet. So it's still working.
It's a nice feeling. Cost savings under the cost savings banner of preparedness. It's and less reliance, right? You don't have to call a repairman or anything else.
Exactly, and not throwing it in the dump and still plugging away. So hopefully I get a few more years out of it. It owes me nothing. I've had it about 5 or 6 now, but hopefully I'll have another 5 or 6. And if not, at least I know how to tear it apart.
Yeah, as long as you follow the Rogers techniques of turning it off and back on first and making sure it's plugged in.
Oh, yes. Yes, we turned it off and back on again.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, so let's move into the main topic. So one of the main things as far as setting up for your preps and the whole lazy prepper thing, it's easy to become overwhelmed and try to prep for absolutely everything at once. And I think that's something that just leads people down the road of, you know what, I'm just going to do it tomorrow and just focus on one thing.
I think that's a huge problem because a lot of people rush straight to the guns and go, start their gun collection, like, woohoo, and they'll focus on that, or they'll spend all their money on that, which, some of us may or may not be guilty of that at some point in their life. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, then I got to worry about radios, food. I got to worry about, heat. I got to worry about all this stuff. And before you know it, like, well, what's the point? I'm never going to be able to afford everything. And that's it. I just won't bother. And so it is very easy to get overwhelmed, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, when I first got into this, prior to starting the business up, I was guilty of this. I jumped in both feet right into the deep end and went, holy geez, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And I just put everything on the back burner, right? And it sat for a while. Then I realized, no, if you focus on one thing first, get that squared away, move to the next, work on your food for a little while, work on your water from there, and just focus your thoughts and everything on one section. Don't take it all in all at once because you're just going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to get anything prepped.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people mistake laziness for basically task saturation. Because, you'll meet a guy that's totally squared away. Like when I was talking with Sean earlier this week, there's a guy that's like totally squared away with his first aid kit. And then you feel like, oh, I totally got to play catch up on that. But yeah, it's a huge cash outlay, effort, and everything else. And if you just take it baby steps, like, just like eating an elephant, one bite at a time, eventually you'll get there. It's you got to be patient with it because, as much as some people fantasize about it, it's not, the world's not going to end tomorrow. So that we know of. But for the most part, you can certainly just take baby steps, and each time, as long as you do one thing to help your preparedness daily, you're better off than you were yesterday. So eventually, it all gets taken care of. It's just not so much. Yeah, don't worry about being lazy. Just worry about being, successful each day as a small amount. So
one little bit at a time. Another thing is staying aware. It takes little to no effort to just throw the radio on in the background, throw CP24 on in the background if you're working around the house or something, or just scan the Google News feed every once in a while to stay up to date. You don't have to, be reading everything constantly or staying up to date on absolutely everything every second of the day. But get in the routine when you come home, when you're cooking dinner, throw the news on and just listen to the updates as to what's going on, or every once in a while, scan the Google News feeds and just be aware of what's happening around you. But it doesn't have to be like something that overtakes your entire day and something that you're focused on 24/7. Just throw it on in the background. You'd be surprised at what you pick up on just listening to it as background noise.
Well, yeah, or even just like today when that cell phone alert went off, just take a good lesson away from it. So think about how you would have done things differently, or maybe it was something you could have been more aware of or prepared for. Use this learning experience, even if you're completely caught with your pants down. So, yeah, awareness is key.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing that's easy to do, keep your vehicle above half tank. It's simple to do. Chances are you're passing the gas station on your way to or from work or anywhere that you happen to be going around during the day. Slide in, fill your tank up. Something does happen to go down, you'll be thankful that you've kept it up to full, and you're not in that big, large panic line of, oh, geez, I need gas right now because the power's gone out.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah, pretty simple thing to do. Like I said, you're going to be going past the gas station anyways, so even if you can't fill it up, throw an extra couple of bucks in it, and you're going to be well ahead of most people anyways.
Well, I guess you feel less bad about filling up your tank too when the dollar amount is smaller. I mean, it's not like you're spending
Yeah,
any less on gas, but instead of being a $60 or $70 bill, it's only a $30 bill. Hey, feels better.
it's the same amount spread out over time.
Yeah, you just don't feel bad about paying that
Yeah.
carbon tax.
No,
No,
exactly.
I guess right off the bat. So
It's less of a mental hit.
that's right.
Another thing, when you're grocery shopping, just add a can or two extra. You're already at the grocery store. You don't have to make an extra trip. Throw an extra can of SpaghettiOs or whatever your thing is, and then you've got it, and then you can throw it into your food preps, or an extra jug of water. Just toss it into your cart. No extra planning required. You're already going to stock up for the week or whatever your shopping routine is. So why not take advantage of the time and throw a few more things in?
Well, actually, I think you stole my thunder on that one, but yeah, they call it ghosting, right? I mean, it doesn't take that much effort. So if you're a lazy prepper, if you're going to grab one can, might as well grab two. It has to be something that you eat, not just something that is cheap or whatever, like canned ham or whatever. Like if you actually plan on eating it, great. But just that's a low effort thing to do, and it all of a sudden eventually over time you'll get large food storage. Right?
Yeah, it's actually funny how quickly it adds up. I started doing that when I first started to get into the preparedness stuff, and all of a sudden I had a whole shelf full and no extra effort. It was just slowly through a time as I was shopping, and next thing I know, I had an extra little shelf of food. So it's effective.
And I think that's kind of a transparent financial hit too. Like, I mean, you're spending the money, but over time it's stretched out more, so you don't really notice it as much. You don't have to sit there and plunk down $500 on canned beans. It's just like you might spend $100 on canned beans, but you might spend it over the course of 3 or 4 months, so it's not as bad, right?
Exactly. A little bit. Again, the whole mental hit to the pocketbook. You're not seeing it as much as doing the big bulk purchase. And then another thing, if you've got a dog that you take for a walk, you're doing the same route over and over again. Switch it up a little bit and learn your neighborhood. Take that regular route, change it up a little bit, learn some different streets around your area. That gets back to the orientation and the orienteering episode that we had quite a while ago now. Just learn a different route, learn some of the roads. You might even end up meeting some neighbors that way. You'll then know some neighbors that are friendly or maybe not. Both scenarios are good to know about. And you'll know some more roads around you and even possibly some exit routes that you wouldn't necessarily know before. And you're getting some exercise in as well. So 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, no, actually, you nailed it because it's low-level surveillance during peacetime. It is exercise production. It is getting to know the neighbors and potential threats, like we talked about a little while ago. There's multi-purpose stuff. So if you're a lazy prepper, really, you might as well be a force multiplier every time you go out and do something. So if you're single, take the dog out. Girls love dogs. If you're married, to have some quality time with the wife. If you've got kids, spend some time with your kids. You can't go wrong, right?
Yep, and anybody walking a dog does not appear to be out of place,
or a threat.
So take the time to do some surveillance and see what's going on around you, and get to know some points, because nobody's going to look at you like, why is this person walking around our neighborhood? Well, they're walking around because they got a dog. Yeah,
falls under the gray man theory too.
Exactly.
There's 2 things you can have on you to make yourself invisible: a dog or Starbucks. And like a buddy of mine used to work at high level security, and he used to test other people's security by walking through a checkpoint with a Starbucks. And he would look the guys in the eye. He'd be carrying his Starbucks. He'd say, "Hey guys," and as long as you look like you belong there, people just like, whatever, just let him by.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it's huge. So take the dog for a walk. It's exercise and gray man theory.
Exactly. Another one here in regards to building up your financial preps. Ask the bank to maybe automatically move $50 a week, a month, whatever you're able to do, 25, 10, doesn't matter. But ask them to move it into some form of a savings account for you. And then it's an automatic thing that's happening. Personally, I have it moved off to a small account in another institution than my regular bank. Therefore, logging into the regular bank to pay the bills, the mortgage, all that regular stuff. I don't log into this other one unless I absolutely need the funds or something. So it takes out that mental state of, oh, look at how much money I've got in my savings account. I'll just dip into it. Well, you got to take that extra step to go to the other financial institution to log in and look at the funds. And again, before you know it, it's going to add up and you'll have a nice little stash set away just in case. And another one, if you're trying to just get some kind of a bug out bag together, grab a pre-made 72-hour kit. At that point, you've got a kit ready to go. It's not going to be 100% perfect. No kit ever is, but it's not going to be tailor built to your specific needs, but it's going to be a starting point. So grab the kit, and then you'll have the basics. And then slowly, as you get some funds and some available cash flow, you can start to build around the pre-built kit. So again, it gets you some gear right off the hop, a little bit of an expense, but then you can slowly build around it as time allows.
Well, yeah, because I mean, as far as lazy prepping goes, that's basically that's where a lot of people make their money is you're doing the work for them. So from a lazy prepper's perspective, somebody else has done the work for you. You might have to lay out some cash, but yeah, like you said, it's customizable. If you find some piece of that kit that doesn't work for you, eventually you can upgrade it. But that's when it works for you, right? But at least you have something versus something perfect.
And we've got some feedback here in the live chat from Tim, and it's a good point. He'll actually save the milk jugs, the 4-liter milk jugs from 7-Eleven. They don't give you money back to return them. So he holds on to them, fills them up, stores them, and then obviously rinses them out first, make sure that there's no remnants of the milk left. And then he uses them if he has to flush his toilet or something like that down the road. Good tip.
There's a great Trailer Park Boys episode about that one. I don't know if you remember that one.
I have not. I'm gonna have to look it up.
High definition piss jugs. It was the guy was like too lazy of a trucker to get out of the truck, and when he was driving long distance, and he fill up the milk jugs. Anyways, but long story short, multi-purpose containers for sure, and they are waterproof. They don't rot down or anything else. They make good targets. If they're worn out, they don't need hold water anymore. So
yeah. It's good.
Fantastic things.
And one final one, you can buy a Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt. You won't need another shirt for quite a while. Just saying.
Remember that gray man theory we talked about a couple minutes ago?
Yeah, throw that one out the window.
Yeah, sorry. I still wear one around the house, out and about now and then, so it creates a good conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So for myself, actually, I think I copied a few of you, your points there, but yeah, if you just can't get motivated or maybe can't afford it right now, I totally get where you're coming from. Personally, I just don't have as much time as I would like, which leads to, well, I'd rather spend my time doing something else, or I don't have time to do it as well as I would like, so it kind of makes that lazy prepper out of you. But you know what? It's a mental block sometimes we just have to overcome, right? Like I was trying to think of some time-efficient preps for the average guy just to get started. Low effort required if you have a jacket and toque. Just leave them in your car. It requires no effort to just leave something behind.
I do that sometimes without even thinking it's a prep.
Yeah, so exactly. At least that's what I tell my wife afterwards. It's like I was just leaving it there for preparedness.
Oh, it was totally intentional if anybody asks. Yes.
Yeah, and so having a jacket and toque in your car is good for being stuck in the car overnight. Those rainy, miserable days where you have to change the tire. Good for shock if you come across a car accident video. It's good for all sorts of stuff. Even kids, if they fall asleep in the car in the back, I mean, just having a jacket to throw over top of them, it's fantastic. So very low effort thing to do. Jumper cables, I mean, you should even be listening to this podcast if you don't have jumper cables at this point. So yeah, low effort. And again, even if it's a garage sale, I'm sure you can pick up a set of jumper cables for $5 at a garage sale. So low effort, low cash outlay. I think you mentioned the case of Costco water, but you might as well save money under the banner of cost savings and preparedness and less reliance. Well, get a case of toilet paper. I mean, at Costco, because you're going to save money. You're going to have tons of toilet paper, probably 6 months worth, and it's there. It's already prepackaged for you.
Yeah, and if you go back to the hygiene episode, you can vac pack it, and it shrinks down nice and small.
And I think the Costco stuff is even plastic covered too, right?
Yeah, it's wrapped in 6 rolls per package. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see. Tim watches Trailer Park Boys too. I get that. So.
Yep.
um, so yeah, ghosting your food purchases. We talked about that. The pre-made first aid kits. I think you beat me to the punch on that. YouTube. We're a prime example, but there's better people out there than us. Education through immersion. So if you don't want to have CP24 on, or heaven forbid the CBC, uh, put on a YouTube, and believe it or not, the algorithms can sometimes work in your favor. If you have it on autoplay and you start watching preparedness videos, YouTube manages to keep teeing up videos that you would probably be interested in. And you can have them playing in the background as long as you got a decent internet plan at home. And if you don't like it, just hit skip, and it'll move on to the next one. And I find myself survival prepping for normal people, a couple of ones like that. I just scroll through all of his, and he puts out a few a day. It's just good to listen to in the shop. And pretty soon, through immersion and osmosis, you're going to learn something, which is always good. So low effort required on that.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with having something playing in the background. You'll be surprised how much you pick up just having it fill with some background noise. And next thing you know, you're up to date on local news or some kind of information with your automatic YouTube playing. You'll pick up all kinds of stuff as you're just going about your day.
Sorry, oh yeah, you mentioned the Sawyer 1 gallon water filter on the comments, but that's actually a good thing. NB35 there, he mentioned the fact that you should get yourself a Sawyer Mini. We talked about those a few times before, but
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's a low effort thing to throw in there. It's not big, it's not overly costly, especially down in the States, and or on Amazon, or Rapid Survival, I think.
Still working on getting them.
Yeah,
Still got
but
those
yeah,
jobs.
low effort thing works really well, and yeah, it's pretty much a fire and forget kind of prep. Not a whole lot of skill required to run it either. So, what else is going to mention there? A weight belt. So when you're out walking the dog, okay, so you might not want to look like the complete tactical guy and have the plate carrier on while you're walking the dog, which I'm not against, but I'm just saying it might raise some eyebrows. You can just tell people you're into CrossFit and wear one of those weighted vests. They're like full of like lead. What's that?
Or put a tactical vest on the dog and then just say that you're matching. That's a thing now, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because people are supposed to look like their dogs. But yeah, so you can put one of those weighted vests on and just say you're in CrossFit, and so it gets used to wearing a backpack. It gets exercise into you. Builds muscle mass, the whole works. That doesn't really fall under lazy per se. But even if you have a heavily laden backpack, throw some cans cans of food in a backpack and just walk around the dog with that.
Make sure they're your
throw
cans.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Or you can throw a baby in one of those baby backpacks on your back and go for a walk with the dog. I'm just saying that's might be future planning.
I was going to say I see that in my future.
Yes, it can work as a resistance trainer too. So you might as well get them involved right off the bat. Now for myself, because I find myself as I get older having to fight the weight gains. So low effort thing to do, but harder than you would think. Order a salad instead of your fries and your poutine.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, I know. It's low effort, but not mentally. Yeah, so you're gonna get in a little bit of weight loss, probably in better shape, less health problems if you have a loss of backup medical services. It's just in mind, part of preparedness is making sure that your body's prepared for hard times too. So, yeah, geez, order salad. I mean, I'm guilty of as the rest of them at going to Costco and getting my big thing of poutine. So I gotta tone down on that a bit.
We've got a comment here from EDC Prepper in the live chat here. He mentions that as well as the prepper videos and podcasts, he likes to listen to homesteading videos as well because there's a lot of crossover to prepping. So it's a good tip as well.
Actually, Half Acre Homestead, I think there was Mrs. Wolfie. Anyway, kind of cheesy, but Canadian content. And if you want to learn about anything about canning, gardening, I don't know, meat processing, you name it, she does it. Her and her husband, and they're not preppers per se, but man, they are sure handy people. They're just little homesteaders. I listen to them quite a bit too, actually. And so yeah, the last thing was okay. So it's gonna be a bit of a battle between being a lazy prepper and being a motivated one. But if you can at all take the stairs and bike to work, or some combination or variation on the theme, do it. It's not going to take that much time of your day, but at least it'll help you a little bit. So
yeah, it'll pay off too.
Yeah. I was kind of lazy. Speaking of low effort content, I wasn't planning on being here tonight, so I didn't do a whole lot of show prep. So I had to put a low effort in tonight. So I do apologize for that. But
No, all's good. I got some topics in here. You've got some topics in here, and hey, we're not going to set a record for the longest podcast like we did in the last episode of 2 hours, but that's all right. We're still getting info out there. That's all that matters.
And NV35 mentions salads only count if they're kale or spinach. I agree. The kale is the miracle food. And spinach is pretty good too. And the Costco spinach thing comes in too, because you get a big vat of spinach at Costco for fairly cheap, and it's usually pretty good. He also mentioned you could buy some simple tools. Well, we mentioned that in the Tools of the Apocalypse episode,
Yep.
2 episodes ago. That's a low cost, low effort thing to do. Just if you have an excuse to go to the restore, go for it, or garage sales.
Yep.
Honestly, garage sales, again, the classic example of being a low effort prepper. Just show up, and if you happen to stumble across something, great.
Yeah. Another good point from NV35 there is hand tools. Good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about all I had, really.
It's that covers off my list as well. It's really, it's just a matter of focusing on a couple of things and doing it, and then moving on to another, and trying to break out of that whole mindset of being lazy about it, and just working on little bits at a time. And eventually your preps will build up to the point that you look back and go, oh wow, look at that, I've got a little bit of every section covered off.
Yeah, I'm not a lazy prepper anymore.
No, suddenly you're no longer a lazy prepper.
Yeah, and I think nothing motivates quite like success too. So if all of a sudden doing some minimal effort stuff and you have some tangible results, and maybe people have given you feedback on it. Like actually, at work one time I had my little first aid kit with me, and I managed to end up using it twice in a day, and I got some positive feedback on it.
Yep.
That made sure I carried it with me all the time. It doesn't take much. So it doesn't take long to stop being a lazy prepper, just being a kind of a graduated prepper, shall we say, or like a sequential prepper.
Yeah, and there's nothing better than checking that box on your checklist to say, yep, this section's done, and just seeing the progress as you go along, and a little bit of positive reinforcement, right, for you list makers out there like myself.
I know a guy that uses Excel. That's even better.
Oof. Ugh. I'm a computer guy. I hate Excel.
Well, he uses it to add up all the weight, so it works out well.
Yes. Oh, hey, you know what? If you're an Excel person, well, have at it. I hate it, but that's me. It is useful for some things. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Checklist, not so much.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll move into the podcast challenge. So for this episode, we're going to ask you to identify your style of prepping. Are you somewhat on the lazy side? If you are, find a way to prep that doesn't take much effort at all, and then tell us about it. You can fire an email off to feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, and let us know what you've come up with, and then we can discuss it on the next episode.
If you come up with like an epically low T effort that increases your preparedness for sure, because the more people can get to do basic stuff, the better. So yeah, fire away.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Helping people cover off the basics, then they can run with it from there. It's always a good thing. So we'll move into episode closing. Our upcoming events is blank. It was full for the longest time, and it looks like we're starting to kind of wind down. So nothing upcoming.
Well, not that I want to mention the GTA. Oh, here we go again.
Here we go.
But, yeah. But there is, for those of you that are focused on the guns right now, TACCOM is coming up. That is September 6th and 7th, I believe, in downtown Toronto, and they will have a big display of gear and guns and tactical stuff. So it's worth a visit if you're anywhere near there. I'm not. I won't be. But it's certainly worth a boo if you can have the chance.
Good to know. We'll get some details for that in the next episode, so we can. Is there a website or something? You know
what? I should have pulled that up, but I'll put it in the show notes.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll just mention it in the next episode. We'll toss it in the show notes, and let's move into some shout outs. So quick shout out to Mallory at Get Out Stay Out. It's the sponsor for what we've been doing lately for our preps. She's been awesome in getting Rapid Survival on board as a distributor. She's also donated the grill that I talked about there for review, and one for us to give away on the podcast. So stay tuned. We're going to come up with some form of a contest for the listeners to enter into, and then you'll be able to potentially win one of their grills. So quick shout out to her, and thanks for the help getting on board. And and sponsoring us and keeping the lights on for now.
Cool. I had one for listener Sean, who may or may not be listening on and watching on YouTube right now. Always a good chat, and it's always nice to meet a guy face to face, and increase that kind of mutual assistance network type of thing, and hopefully get guys in the same areas to meet up. But it's always nice to meet a new guy.
Awesome. And so into email and iTunes reviews. So iTunes, we're up to 28 5-stars. We've got that one little guy, the 1 4-star. And I don't even want to mention it. We've got the 1 1-star. That's all right. If people aren't complaining, we're not doing it right.
It wasn't a real 1-star, I don't think, because you would have got a tirade if you had. So.
Yeah, true. There was no. I think we mentioned that in the last episode. There was no write-up or anything to go with it. So, but like I said, if we're not doing it right, nobody would complain. So I take that as we're doing it right. And we've got an email here that came in from Darren. It says, thanks for guilting me into parting with some filthy lucre, plus shipping and theft, for some first aid gear from Ragnarok Tactical. Enjoyed the IFAC show like all the others. Keep up the good work. Gotta say, though, that you're much more GTA-centric than you think.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah. You don't have to be all the way in northern Alberta to be hours away from the higher level of care. I missed out on the Drumheller Stop the Bleed course. Summer weekends are already double booked. I've taken Wilderness First Aid a couple of times. I could use a Stop the Bleed course. Do you know anyone you'd recommend in the Calgary area? I get my podcasts from the Overcast app versus iTunes. So consider this a 5-star review minus GTA bias, of course. Cheers, Darren. So that's a 6-star review? Is that a thing?
I guess, yeah. So I first of all, I had to look up what lucre meant, and it's just basically another word for loot. So anyways, I guess I'm just not as well versed as I thought. Yeah, so GTA centric. Well, first of all, I guess I'm on Vancouver Island, and I would say I got a fairly wide spectrum of the country in my site at any given time. So yeah, I try to do my best to provide an alternative viewpoint. On my other podcast, I'm actually referred to as the Token Westerner. So we try not to be GTA centric, we're trying to be nationwide. We have one of our other podcasters is from the East Coast. So yeah, if you need us to focus on something on out west, let me know, or out east, let Hughes know. But for sure, we're not always focused on Ontario.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple of listeners that do the odd time send in news articles and stuff from their local area that we don't always pick up on. Something that you see or you'd like us to cover off on the show that's local to your area, please email it in to the feedback at prepperpodcast.ca, and we'll get it on the show.
And I mean, I'm even on the West Coast. I'm basically a solid hour away from a higher level of care for sure. We'd have to be medevaced out by helicopter where we are. Anything major happens. We actually just had the highway shut down the other day in front of the house. The one and only highway up and down the island got shut down, so that causes all sorts of chaos. The other thing I was mentioned, you did respond to him on the email, but what was the name of that website again to get your local Stop the Bleed instructor?
Yes, so for the local Stop the Bleed instructor, it's bleedingcontrol.org or stopthebleed.org. That will get you to the Stop the Bleed website. And then from there, they've got a whole list of where you can find a class, where you can find an instructor, or you can contact them and they'll put you in contact with somebody in your local area.
Cool. And if he wants to meet up, I'm usually in Calgary once in a while. Feel free to drop us a line. I can always sit down and have a coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And with that, I'll bring episode number 32. Wow, we're at 32 already of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Take a few minutes, submit a review. It helps other people find us. You can also find us at prepperpodcast.ca on Facebook.
All right, so now we record these things on StreamYard. If you want an early peek at the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Canadian Prepper Podcast and click on the notifications tab. This gives you alerts when we're going live. You can contact. That's Alan's stuff. I can't even talk about that. There you go.
Well, you can get Alan at PPSWO if he's around next episode.
Yeah. Almost read his ad read there.
Yeah, he's got the high heels on somewhere. So maybe catch him on Instagram there and send him a picture of high heels or something.
Yeah.
So you can also watch the shows being streamed live on YouTube, thanks to StreamYard. And I think you already covered that off there, Ian, but now I'm reading lines.
Well, there you go. But that
yeah.
is the benefit, is that they will with the StreamYard app or website, they'll actually stream to YouTube and or Facebook. A lot more versatile than Hangouts ever was, so we're pretty happy with it so far.
Yeah, it's a new platform. So just a reminder to anybody listening as well, if you can send us in some feedback as far as how the streaming is and how the audio is, the feedback at prepperpodcast.ca. We'll try to get stuff sorted out because it is a new platform and we're learning on the fly.
Yeah. You can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can also find me giving my 2 cents worth on Canadian Patriot Podcast, also available on iTunes and YouTube if you want to catch the uncensored version. There you can find us exposing more government waste, squirreling off on the odd firearms-related banter, and generally drowning our sorrows at the diminishing freedoms as we face as time goes on.
So please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat while you're buying some prepper gear. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us, and you can tune in for the next episode. We're going to be covering off wildfire preparedness. Until next time, it is the season. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.